Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. That's what the song tells me. And the Knicks did it as well too. We get into it next on Beyond the Locker Room. Your New York Knickerbockers are the NBA champions for 2026. It's been a long time coming, 53 years to be exact. Hey, this has been quite the ride for the New York Knicks. We're going to get into it. Congrats to all the Knicks fans out there. There's a lot of them around the way, a lot in this city as well too, and a lot of people grew up of a certain era, grew up with the Knicks as a team, as a dominant team in their decade in the 70s when they came here to this country, so including my dad. So shout out to him and all the rest of the Knicks fans. Give me also love for what a great season, what a great run, one of the really great historic runs in NBA playoff history. So we're gonna get into not so much what happened in Game 5. I think that's obvious, but more of the reasons why the Knicks won this series. I got 3 of them to go through, and we'll get into it. Reason number 1. And the reason number 1 I'm going to go to is something that's on the court in this one. And this is just like maturity of game or game maturity. And what I mean by that is the Knicks in this case knew their games. And they knew exactly what each player knew exactly what they had to do to get their game going, to get their game off. When things get tight, they knew what to go to get the best quality shot for themselves and for their team. And you can see how the dichotomy between that and the Spurs, where the Spurs, when things got tight for the Spurs didn't have much answer to who to go to as that security blanket. Which guy in this case has the type of game where it's like, okay, we need a bucket. We just need a bucket to stop this run, to kind of get our feet underneath us again. And at this point right now, their 3 key players right now don't have that yet, which is understandable. They're 22, 21, and 20. It's clearly understandable. But Wemby, Harper, and Castle don't have those games yet where it's like put the ball in their hands and say, okay, I feel good, I can get a bucket. As you would have for most championship level teams if you look at it through, right? You go to OKC. They knew they'd go to SGA to get a bucket when they need one. Even though their half-court offense at times is anemic, they still know get SGA in that mid-range, we can go to work with that. And we can live with that wherever the consequences are. So that's the best shot we can get, and we know we feel good with getting that shot. You go down the line of all sorts of championship-level teams. Even in some ways, even ones in this case that did not win it had guys that could do so. And I think right now San Antonio, because they're so young, and I think a lot of my rationale of their losses will be due to that, but it's not in the way you think. Because a lot of people say, oh, it's inexperience. Partially it's that, but it's not quite the way you think, in my opinion. And I think one of them is just the offensive maturity of knowing exactly who to get the ball to and who has that shot and who has the maturity in their game to have the shot in this case, or have an ability to get just have a go-to play, a go-to move. And right now, development-wise for Wemby, as well as Castle and Harper, they too, of developing go-to moves, or at least one go-to move. I would say for Wemby in particular, work on your post-up game. You got to fill out and build up that, that base a bit and have a couple go-to moves. Like, I don't know why Wemby, it's year 3, I grant it, but I don't know why Wemby doesn't have a hook shot. Who's blocking that? No one could block some type of hook shot. It could be a sky hook. It could be a jump hook, the old Weber jump hook. You got just have a hook shot. You go to the post and you can throw that hook shot on anyone from 5 feet, 10 feet. Heck, if it got to be 15 feet away, whatever it is, just have a go-to move where it's like no one's going to stop me if I get in this spot. Necessary. Same thing goes to Harper. Same thing goes with Castle. That's reason number 1. And I will say from the Knicks standpoint, just because, hey, they're the champs, they have a guy, in this case in Brunson, who knows where to get his shots from. He knows if he could get on the left-hand side, get to that left, and he knows which areas in that mid-range where he can manipulate, either get straight to the hoop or to pull up, because he has that kind of reverse pivot. We can fade away from the elbow. That's kind of Brunson's pit shot. He has that when needed. And other guys on that team have certain shots they know. Bridges, when he's going, Bridges has that little fadeaway on the mid-range from either from the baseline or from the free throw line extended. That's kind of his pet shot. Right now, the Spurs just are playing off of pure talent, raw talent, and not really knowing how to work the game and figure out, having the maturity of the game to kind of get a shot where they need to when runs like that happen. That is one of the reasons why they had so many leads disappear in this series. Reason number 2, this one's just a flat out, conditioning. I mean, this also goes to their age in the same way because their bodies aren't used to playing this type of length from a seasonal standpoint, but also just minutes wise. Wemby, for the most part this year, played 29 minutes a game for San Antonio. They got to ramp that up. I said it back in the day with Milwaukee. Giannis drove me up the wall. You'll see Giannis in the first 5 minutes panting and bending over, holding his shorts after 5-6 minutes because the pace you're going at in the playoff games like twice it is for a regular season game. Throw in then you're playing 35 plus minutes if you're a star player or a starter. You can't have Wemby playing 29 minutes and then having him ramp up to 38, 39, some nights 40 plus minutes. You're going to have to find a medium ground to work him as the season goes on to get him up to at least 32, 33 minutes, 34 minutes. So when we get the playoff time, he can handle heavier loads and it doesn't show because I think, Iman Shumpert had a great point. I retweeted it today on my X account. I thought it was some really great analysis. Shumpert said like right now, because they're so young and they're so raw in this case, like they don't have this is where their inexperience shows in this case. He says their defensive principles are failing them when they get tired. Fantastic point because it's so true. We saw it in this case. Hey, Heavy's the one who wears the crown, right? And when it came to Wemby, there's too many times I saw him running out for, say, OG, and he's running out recklessly, which gave OG, who's one of the best in the league, on dealing with runouts and closing outs on runouts, or not closing out runs, or actually dealing with runouts and attacking them. We saw the one in game 2, I think it was, where he essentially kind of dunked on Wemby, but that recklessness coming out like that too many times in the series, especially late in the series or late in a game in the series, Wemby's just too reckless running out there for threes. And for a guy, obviously, who's a great defensive player, those principles need to be there from the first minute to the 48th minute. So Iman Shumpert with some great analysis there. Props to him. Check it out on X on my profile on that one. But I thought he hit on the head there. And that conditioning, you saw it plenty of times. You saw it a couple times late in the game from Harper where he had some bunny layups. I mean, nothing's a bunny layup in a playoff in the finals, but for these professionals, that's as good as he can get. And he came up short a couple on one of them, and I think the other one he kind of hit it off the back iron. Like those to me show me like fatigue, conditioning. That's where the conditioning, the fatigue starts playing into that because of that lack of conditioning. You saw you saw it as well there when it came to I think it was Vassell stepping out of bounds on a defensive rebound. Like these are the type of things where the conditioning starts getting into the mental part. And you start seeing sloppy errors and sloppy things due to that lack of conditioning, which then creates the fatigue. And they gotta get better with that because you're not boxing on Mitchell Robinson when you need to. Like, come on, the conditioning hurting on free throw shots. A bit of that was nerves, no two ways about it. But for Harper and Wemby to miss 5 free throws late in the game, that you can't have that. That night, they were the 2 most important guys in the team when it came to look at the score, so you can't have that. I think and then I think I'll get the third one now, and I think this one here might be the most. I think this might be the most egregious of all of them because I put this on the coach, like Mitch Johnson, man. I understand, young guys for the most part. The whole team's a fairly young team. I mean, with the exception of Harrison Barnes and Kelly Olynyk, the key guys that play minutes. Fox is 27. I mean, it's not like he's some geezer as well too. But when you look at how this team plays and the philosophy they play with, and in a lot of ways, there's a lot of good things about it. A lot of freewheeling, a lot of egalitarian type of offense. Wemby's not a guy that's going to dominate and get like 35 and 18 or something like that. That's not the game they play. They kind of share the ball. They have a lot of weapons to do so it's understandable. But sometimes, man, as a coach, you got to rein that in. You got to have some roles and some responsibilities of who does what in certain situations, who handles the ball in certain situations, where we can get a shot from whom. There was so much of that late in the fourth quarter in all these games where folks are looking around like, what do we do? I don't know. Well, how do we do it? You want the ball? Okay, I'll just do what I'm going to do. I'll just freelance. Oh, I'll take the ball. Sure. Like, there's too much of that was going on throughout this series in the fourth quarters, and especially the last 5 minutes, where it's just like chickens with their head in the necks cut off. They had no clue what was going on. And I think that was one of the reasons why it caused the error and the mistake by Wemby in game 2 that really did cost him that game, where he thinks Castle's going to take the ball, bring up court. Castle's assuming Wemby's going to bring up court. No one knows what the role definition is late in the game. That can't be happening. So from a Mitch Johnson standpoint, the lack of control, the lack of organization, some of what we saw in that third quarter of the great comeback in game 4, where he was just like, oh, we'll figure it out. No, man, you got to have a tighter rein on things when it comes to this. And I think when he looks back at his own performance in this series, he can see that there's going to be a lot of stuff he has to work on as well, too. And giving more role definition of who handles the ball late in games, who's handling the ball when runs are happening, things of that nature need to be sorted out long before we get to game 2, game 3, game 4, game 5 of the NBA Finals. Anyways, man, just to sum things up, a great run by the Knicks. You got to give Mike Brown his due. I've not been a big Mike Brown dude, but I give him credit. He played it perfectly. He let Brunson kind of hang himself a little bit because Brunson wanted to go out there and do his thing and play Brunson ball, if you want to call it that. And my father, who had been saying this for years, as he refers to him as the guard, so he doesn't even call his name at the time. Actually, I should ask him if he's referred to his name now. Just dribbling the air out the ball. Brunson, at least he got Brunson for the majority after got the 2-1 or 2-2 Atlanta. It's like, okay, time to pull the grenade. And they started running the offense, the flex offense he's wanted to run for a while. You've seen it run in Golden State. You've seen it run in Sacramento. He finally got to run it here in New York, and he has the type of talent to do so. And Cat, quite honestly, I'm not going to get into a whole Becky Hammond thing, but in my mind, the most important player and arguably the best player in the team is Cat. And once Cat got in control of the ball to do his thing, it opened it up for everybody, including Brunson, to make his life easier. But props to Brunson. I ain't going to leave this podcast with the performance that he had in Game 5. He was spectacular. I mean, he found ways, and what I appreciate with Brunson is the mental game, which is kind of like, you don't see it much with most of the new guys. Some of the older guys, you definitely see it, like LeBron and to some extent Steph, where they play the mental game with you. And Brunson's kind of a bit of an old school guy like that, where if he feels you off the rocks a little bit, he's going to do some things not only to put pressure on you, but to make sure you feel it. And he definitely was making sure that, hey, if we get sniff of this, hey, man, I'm coming, and you aren't going to do anything about it, man. I think he tied Michael Jordan for the biggest performance in an elimination game in the finals. I said before, when you get the names, like when you're in record books with Wilt Chamberlain or Michael Jordan or LeBron James, those type of names, you just gotta give this slow clap and just tip your cap to him, man. So props to Brunson. He is definitely king of the city. And hey, props to the whole New York Knicks and their fans. Props to Spike. Spike, you had to live some really dark moments, some that you were included in. And the boy, they love to show it every time you guys are in the playoffs. But now they got a new set of highlight reels they better show, or lowlights, or I should say highlight reels down. They were showing the lowlights in the past. But Spike, man, you're off the hook, my friend. Enjoy this one, man. Enjoy this one. Anyways, Knicks fans, Hoops fans, it's been a great season. We still have lots of stuff to discuss. Free agency, and of course, the draft coming up. Check me out. I'll have some draft discussion and observations about that the next couple of weeks. And of course, check me out on Basketball Rewind. As me and the fellas, we've been breaking down a lot of the players that we think could potentially be in the Raptors vortex. Check that out there on Basketball Rewind. Subscribe to my man Kenyon. He's that close there to 500, so help him out. And of course, you know what to do here, man. You can also find me on Facebook, on X, on Blue Sky, and on Instagram. And of course, right here where you can like, comment, share, and subscribe, guys. Appreciate it. We're building it slowly but surely. But check me out here as well, too. And once again, guys, thanks for another great season in the association. Once again, be safe and enjoy yourself out there. Keep it locked, and we'll talk next time. Peace.